possible for a second homeowner in France to apply for a long stay visitor visa and then a Carte de Sejour visitor without actually becoming a permanent resident in France? So essentially they are applying for this Carte de Sejour and then they're using it to go back and forth between their second home and their home in the UK or in the US without becoming a resident. Is that possible?
Well, I mean, I know that a lot of people are doing it, whether if it's compliant with the rules and regulations, not necessarily. So when you're actually having a secondary home here in France, something that is important to know that already at the visa center, when you're applying for your visa, you will need to actually tick a box, which is saying that France is becoming your primary residency. Once France is becoming your primary residency, then there are certain rules and regulations that you have to follow. Again, we're going back to the famous taxation, French social security, and so on, so on. So maybe it's not in the first year when the authorities are going to find you, but it's worse to do the things in the legal way. So for secondary homeowners, really the best advice would be to try to use the 6 months long visa. And then for those who are really planning to settle in here in France, then go for the 1 year long visa itself.
Okay, that's really good advice, because I know there are quite a few people who are doing that. But yeah, you do need to be really careful if you're declaring that you are resident in a country and you're not resident in a country. We can all see the potential problems that could come up with that. And while we're on that subject, I'm actually just going to quickly point out one thing as well about that 183-day rule, which just came into my head. Is I think a lot of people don't realize that does actually apply to EU citizens and even French citizens who are no longer resident in France. So if you're, for example, your husband is a French citizen, but he lives in the UK and pays tax in the UK, and you travel to France with him, he shouldn't actually be staying in France more than 6 months either without being resident in France and potentially paying tax in France. So just to clarify that, because I think there's a lot of confusion over those details.